In the bustling halls of Cityview General Hospital, Nurse Jessica cradled a crying infant that had been left behind by a distraught teenage mother. As she gently rocked the baby, she noticed something unusual, an elegant pendant hidden in the folds of the blanket. Along with it, a note that would soon reveal an astonishing connection to her own life, leaving Jessica both speechless and shaken. Jessica, now 28, had worked at Cityview General since graduating at the top of her class from nursing school. Though her childhood dream was to become a teacher, everything changed when her father died from a heart attack at home when she was just 13. The devastating loss shifted her path, and she vowed to become a nurse, determined never to feel helpless again. Her mother, Susan, was Jessica's rock. They shared a deep bond, living together in a modest house not far from the hospital. Throughout Jessica's years of study, her mother had supported her every step of the way. After exhausting shifts, Susan was always there to provide emotional support, offering a shoulder to lean on when the weight of caring for patients felt too much. "How was work today?" Susan asked as Jessica walked through the door one evening, looking worn out. "Same as always," Jessica replied, though her voice lacked its usual energy. "Something bad happened, didn't it?" Susan's motherly instincts kicked in. Without a word, Jessica threw her arms around her mother and began to sob. "She's gone, Mom," she said through tears. "We did everything we could, but she didn't make it." "Who, sweetheart?" Susan asked, gently patting her back. "Mrs. Thompson. She was so excited to see her son's wedding. That's all she talked about. I was hoping she'd make it, just for that." Susan pulled Jessica close. "I'm so sorry, honey. Maybe it was her time, but you were there for her, and that's what matters." Mrs. Thompson had been a special patient to Jessica. In her 60s and battling a serious illness, the elderly woman had grown close to the young nurse. They had spent hours talking, and Mrs. Thompson's joy at her son's upcoming wedding was infectious. It broke Jessica's heart that the woman never got to see it. "You gave her comfort in her final days," Susan reassured her. "That's a gift." That night, as Jessica cried in the shower, the memory of losing her father years ago came flooding back. But her mother's words stayed with her, giving her the strength she needed to face another day. The following evening, while working a night shift, something unexpected happened. Jessica checked on a teenage mother who had recently given birth, only to find a newborn crying and unattended. Assuming the exhausted young woman was asleep, Jessica stepped in to soothe the baby. However, something felt off. The bed was arranged in a way that didn't seem right. Pillows were tucked under the sheets, creating the illusion that the mother was still there. But Jessica realized the heartbreaking truth. The young woman had abandoned her child. "We have a problem," Jessica called out to a fellow nurse as she hurried from the room. "What's going on?" her colleague asked. "The baby's mother. She's gone. I think she's abandoned the baby," Jessica explained, her voice tight with concern. Security was alerted, and a search was launched for the teenage mother. Jessica held the baby close, waiting for any sign that the young woman might still be nearby. Unfortunately, the search turned up nothing. The mother had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the baby, a son, who was now alone in the world. As Jessica adjusted the infant in her arms, something hard pressed against her hand. Curious, she carefully unwrapped the blanket, revealing a delicate emerald pendant around the baby's neck. Tucked inside was a small, folded note. "Dear Daniel," the note began, "I'm so sorry it had to be like this. I wish I could take you home to my parents, but they would disown me if they knew. Your grandparents don't even know you exist. Someday you might understand why I had to leave. Please know that I love you, and I always will. Mom." The baby was a boy, and his mother had named him Daniel. As Jessica read the letter, her heart ached for the young mother's struggle and for the child who had been abandoned. But what struck her most was the name. Daniel had been her father's name, and the coincidence sent a shiver down her spine. Jessica couldn't help but wonder if this was some kind of sign, a chance to bring a part of her father back into her life. In the days that followed, Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that she was meant to be a part of this baby's life. She had seen many mothers, both young and old, leave their babies at the hospital, but there was something different about Daniel. After weeks of deliberation, Jessica made the life-changing decision to adopt him. Over the years, Daniel grew into a healthy and happy child. Susan, now a grandmother, doted on him, and together they gave him a home filled with love and warmth. Jessica's life had taken an unexpected turn, but through the tragedy of loss, she had found a new purpose: to care for and love the boy who had been left behind. Jessica's journey is a testament to how life's most painful moments can lead to profound blessings. By opening her heart to Daniel, she honored her father's memory and discovered a new kind of love. The story of Daniel's adoption reminds us that even in the darkest times, hope can emerge, and sometimes life gives us exactly what we need when we least expect it.